Moving on to what's normally my favorite part of the show. Why would he say that? The part where I watch a lot of these shows and a lot of these podcasts and a lot of these YouTube channels that you don't necessarily have to, because there's a lot of bad stuff out there. So let me be your filter. When I made this segment, there was something I didn't want to do. And I didn't want to go after extremely low-hanging fruit, meaning guys who are obnoxious and just trying to be rage baiting, and guys who are just trying to say stuff intentionally to piss everybody else off, right? The clear, obvious, I'm going to say this because it's controversial. This is why I stay away from certain personalities. Not going to mention names. And this is a guy who I would have thought would have always qualified for this. But I thought, due to the nature of what he said, I felt this deserved a response. I hope my grandmother's not listening, because she's not going to like the language that I use. Fat fuck Jason Whitlock. And yes, I want to make sure that I am being as disrespectful as possible when I say this, because that's your thing, is to be as disrespectful, as rude, as disingenuous as probably any person out there in sports media, or maybe even media in general. You know, I'm relatively new to the college football space, but I've said my story of why I became a Crimson Tide fan. It's for family reasons, and this I would have this opinion, though, whether it was aimed towards Alabama or not. But something that, even as when I have talked college sports in the past, I believe there should be a line when you're discussing collegiate athletes. And I understand they get paid now. Some of these guys are making 3, 4, 5. If you believe it, some of the big time, like Caleb Williams, is making supposedly between $10 to $15 million. Awesome. I like the NIL. I believe they should do it because these schools are making hundreds of millions of dollars off of them, especially the football programs. So I like the fact these guys can get paid now. That does not take away the fact these are still 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. And when you say certain things about somebody's kids, I firmly believe you deserve whatever happens to you. If someone's dad, because you talked about their 19-year-old child, punches you in the face, I think you absolutely deserve it. And I don't feel bad for you. So fat fuck Jason Whitlock puts out a video saying too gay for college football. And he uses Alabama and uses the pride colors. And he specifically targets Ryan Williams. So let me tell you why this is disgusting on so many levels besides the obvious. A, why does it matter? Seriously, why does it matter? Ryan Williams is one of the best receivers in the country. He's also only 18 years old. And you use this opportunity because they lost a game to Florida State that they shouldn't have lost. And everybody was ripping them from a competitive football standpoint last week. Valid. They were upset. They should have won that game. They did not play well. There's a bunch of highlights or lowlights if you want to put it out there. And that's 1,000% fine to criticize them on. They did not play great. Ryan dropped a couple of passes. I said that last week. But then you bring up that he walked in with an anxiety doll. Why is that anyone's business? Whatever somebody does for a pregame ritual or pregame to cut the nerves, and again, these are collegiate athletes. These are 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Why does it matter that whatever they're doing to get themselves ready for the game or to help calm their nerves? Lawrence Taylor was doing X, Y, and Z before games. We don't care. Wilt Chamberlain was doing X, Y, and Z before games. We don't care. But you're going to attack an 18-year-old for an anxiety doll? And because you think he's not tough enough? Because of either your perception on his sexuality or his perceived characteristics as a human being? That's why you want to say they lost? So did you have this same opinion where, again, this is my first, I'm being honest, my first season truly being involved in collegiate sports to this level. But I know when big stuff happens, the game last year against Georgia, the Ryan Williams breakout game, was it too gay then when he had maybe the game of the college football season? Was it too gay when he had one of the most noteworthy breakout performances for a 17-year-old collegiate athlete in the history of the sport? Or is it pick and choose because you're a nasty individual, and instead of going at the reality of the situation, which is evaluate the game for what it is, being a football game, you decided as a lonely, miserable, fat old man that I'm going to go attack the 18-year-old because I don't like these 2 or 3 things that he does, and I want my sport and I want my football to look a certain way. Well, if you wanted your football to look a certain way, why didn't you take care of yourself and get yourself in shape to play football when you were younger? To play at a high enough level where you could ever play at the level Ryan Williams has gotten to as an 18-year-old. Remember that Richard Sherman clip? Richard Sherman versus Skip Bayless? I've accomplished more in life in my 20-some years of life than you. Ryan Williams as an 18-year-old has accomplished more in sports than you have as a mid-50-year-old. So if you really wanted your football to look a certain way, if you really wanted your game to be what you envisioned it, why didn't you take charge of yourself and you put yourself in a position to do it? I say it all the time. I'm tall. If in another world, I should be in the NBA. I didn't do what I needed to do to make that happen. So now I talk sports. I'm never going to go after an 18-year-old college basketball player because maybe I don't like 1 or 2 things about either the way they look or the way they handle themselves or the way they act. That's none of my business. If you talk sports, what they do on the field, on the court, on the baseball, actually do your job instead of doing some stupid clickbait saying he's too gay and that's how it affects the other guys in the locker room. You don't know this young man. You don't know much, to be honest. And you know what's really, and we're going to end here. This is, I think, the really disappointing part. And this is why normally I would consider this low-hanging fruit. Because the only person, and this I feel I have sympathy for, but I don't know you, so I have to assume you brought this on yourself. We all make mistakes in life. We do. But most of us, when we make mistakes, we have people that are there to catch us. Family, friends, colleagues that turn into friends. There's people around us that can speak to our character and go, you are not your mistake. When you got into it last year with the rest of the sports media world, not one person of notoriety came to your defense and said, nah, man, he's a really good guy. You know, everybody, Stephen A's tripping, all these other guys, they don't know him like I know. Not a single person. So all I can think when I see how that played out is I feel sorry for you. I am sorry that you've somehow turned into this bitter, old, just nasty 50-plus-year-old man. And that must be a really unfortunate life to live. Ryan Williams is going to be fine. Ryan Williams is a great college football player. He's going to be a great NFL player, regardless if he does these handful of things that you don't like. Caleb Williams does a handful of these same things. And he was the number 1 overall pick, made a bunch of money in the NIL. And I think his team is going to do great this season. I think they're going to make the playoffs. He's going to go on to have a really good career. And you're going to be sitting there in your room with nobody publicly or nobody privately, it seems like, will stand up for you or speak highly of you while you continue to rip an 18-year-old college wide receiver. Some people are just too fat and ugly for this, man. I mean, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest and most unique communities, don't forget to like and subscribe.